If you've ever thought a quiet person couldn't shake up the whole world in just 10 minutes, let me tell you about the wildest day I ever saw inside a public high school. No, really picture this. A packed hallway, lockers slamming, teachers rolling their eyes, and in the middle of it all, they made this soft-spoken substitute teacher kneel on the dirty tile floor while the entire faculty just watched. They tore up her resignation letter, let it drift like confetti, and laughed right in her face. And you know what? If you'd asked anyone in that moment, they'd have said she was done. But by the end of that same day, every single one of them was flat out on the ground or too stunned to speak, and her name was blowing up on every social feed in America. Yeah, that happened, and her name was Miss Lane Small, glasses, the kind of woman you'd pass on the street without thinking twice. She walked into Jefferson High like she was carrying a stack of invisible bricks, head down, cardigan sleeve a little too long, mumbling good morning to kids who just grunted back. She wasn't flashy, didn't make noise, just another substitute, invisible in a school famous for chewing up new teachers and spitting them out. And maybe that's why those kids thought they could make her the punchline to their inside jokes, turn her into the next viral meme. Three of them in particular: Mason, 17, varsity jacket, $1 million smirk, and his sidekick Brianna, the kind of mean girl who collects rumors like their jewelry decided Mississippi Lane was going to be their project. I mean, you know the type, right? The ones who make high school feel like a reality show for everyone else. Mason would pull out Miss Lane's chair just as she satched Lan hard, and everyone would crack up. Brianna, fake crying, would get her sent to the principal for making a student feel unsafe. The principal barely listened, just waved her off with, "Try not to upset the kids, MS." Lane. Even the teachers snickered in the break room. It wasn't just the students. It was the whole machine. Like everyone was in on the joke but her. But Mississippi Lane, she didn't fight back. Not at first. She just kept showing up day after day, carrying her little stack of papers and looking like she was about to apologize for existing. And then one morning, out on the quad, with everyone watching, Mason got bold. He dared her, in front of the whole crowd, to prove she deserved respect. He pointed at her degrees, taped up on the wall, said they were probably fake. Brianna tossed water on her shoes, and then Mason actually forced her to kneel right there on the concrete, in front of everyone. "You don't belong here," Mason said, his voice echoing, and the laughter from the crowd god. You could feel it in your chest, like a punch you didn't even see coming. And Mississippi Lane, she just knelt. For a second, you could see something pass over her face, something old and deep, but she didn't say a word. Everyone thought that was the end of her. What nobody knew, though what none of them could guess, was that Mississippi Lane had lived a whole other life before she ever picked up a piece of chalk. Let me back up a sec. Flashback to 2 years earlier. A small MMA gym lit by cheap fluorescents, sweat and chalk dust in the air, a young woman in the ring, fast, terrifying, focused. They called her the Cobra. National lightweight champion, 22 wins, 0 losses, broke someone's jaw with a left hook in round 1. But then, tragedy struck her brother, the one who believed in her most, was killed in a car crash. And just like that, the fight left her. She walked away, swapped gloves for textbooks, looking for a place she could start over. Nobody at Jefferson High knew that side of her. Nobody thought to ask. Back in the present, that same day after the humiliation, Mississippi Lane did something that made the whole staff blink. She walked straight into the principal's office, calm as ever, handed over a waiver, and in that soft voice, asked to host a self-defense demo for School Safety Week. Mason and Brianna, cocky as always, laughed. "You want to teach us to fight?" The principal, barely glancing up, signed off, probably just happy to get her out of the office. Friday at noon, Mississippi Lane said, and the date was set. She didn't raise her voice, didn't even seem angry. She just made a small, knowing smile, like she already knew how the story would end. Word spread like wildfire. By Friday, everyone had their phones out, students, staff, even the janitor. The gym was packed. Mason swaggered up first, all bravado, ready to make a show of it. And what happened next, man, nobody could have predicted. Mississippi Lane barely moved one quick step, a twist, and Mason hit the mat so hard you could hear the air leave his lungs. You should have seen the look on his face, like someone had swapped reality on him. Brianna tried to run, But Mississippi Lane redirected her, soft as a breeze, right into a gentle takedown that looked like it was straight out of a movie. Even Coach Harris, the ex-football linebacker, jumped in, laughing, "Let's see what you got," and ended up pinned to the floor in 5 seconds flat. Silence. No laughter. Just this hush like everyone realized at the same moment they'd missed the real story all along. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. Even the teachers started clapping. Kids you'd never expect started cheering. Someone uploaded the whole thing to TikTok. Within hours, it was viral. By the next morning, Mississippi Lane was trending quiet teacher, bully breaker. News vans out front, the school board scrambling, Mason's parents releasing a public apology on video. The principal tried to pretend it was all part of a leadership lesson. Yeah, right? And you want to know the wildest thing? Mississippi Lane didn't rub it in. She just thanked everyone, packed up her things, and walked to the cemetery to visit her brother's grave. She left her old fighter gloves there, laid them on the stone, whispered something only she and her brother will ever know. When she came back to school, it was different. Students held doors for her. One shy girl hugged her in the hall, said, "I want to be like you when I grow up." The whole place changed, like everyone finally saw the real power and kindness, the strength it takes to stay quiet, to hold back, until the moment you decide to rise. Sometimes, you never know who's been a warrior all along. Maybe they just wore chalk dust instead of gloves. And you know what I think? The people you underestimate are the ones who'll shake your world the most. Never forget that. So, what would you have done if you were there? Would you have stood up for Mississippi Lane or joined the laughter? Do you think bullies ever really win? Or is dignity always going to find a way to fight back? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what real strength looks like and whether you think schools should do more to protect the quiet ones. Because, honestly, stories like this, stories about dignity, fighting back, they don't just change schools. They change people.